All right, so we're going to be focusing on the frog position here, or also known as short adductor pails and rails. I'm going to use these valve slides. If you have furniture slides or even towels, if you're on hardwood floor at home, you know, I'm going to use these. You can use them as well, but I'm going to use these just so you can kind of get an idea of exactly what's going on in this position. So again, it's not going to look like, you know, a crazy amount of range of motion, but I'm gonna slide here and, all right, so if I started, right, I would be in that quadruped position. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go to my elbows, all right? I don't know how well you guys can see that other side, so I'll adjust and go straight on here. But, all right, so you can see knees are out nice and wide. And from here, I'm getting that stretch in the inner part of my thigh, which is the adductor muscle. So going into, into this down position, onto the elbows. And from here, I want to think about pulling my belly button towards the floor and thinking about having a nice proud chest and pushing the floor away with my elbows, okay? So I'm really thinking about owning this position. My back is nice and flat. If you need to elevate yourself a little bit more, you can do so to where you put maybe a pad or a pillow underneath your elbows to elevate your position a little bit more. All right, do whatever you gotta do to keep that back flat and abs tight, all right? So just like all the other pails and rails videos, right, making sure that we're holding this passive stretch for anywhere from 90 seconds to a minute. Now, when I start, right, that contraction phase, I'm gonna think about pulling the floor together, right? So with this left side, I'm pushing into the floor and pulling in towards my midline. With this right side, same thing, pushing into the floor, pulling in towards my midline, all while making sure that my belly button, right, is pulling towards the floor and my abs are tight, back is nice and flat. So I'm gonna start ramping up, creating my tension, right? Ramping up to about 70% in that first round, pulling the floor together. And I like to go to the inside of my feet as well to also help me create that tension at the hips, right? So let's say 60 seconds has gone by and I'm ramped up to 70%. Now I'm gonna think about pushing, right, away from my body with my knees and also pushing up toward the ceiling, okay? So there is a direct relationship between the glutes and the adductors, okay? So the more that I abduct at the hip, and I'm gonna start to slide, like creating that tension, lifting up towards the ceiling, really getting those glutes involved and keeping my abs tight. All right, so remember we're here for 20, 30 seconds. You can ramp it up even more to 45 seconds if you want to. And then we're gonna down regulate. So with these valve slides, I was slowly creeping out. It wasn't a crazy amount of range of motion, remember, because I was already in my end range. But because I created that tension, that contraction, pushing into the floor, right? Strengthening that tissue in that end range. And then I'm thinking about pulling away, using my glutes, the biggest muscle in my body, while keeping my abs tight. That's gonna allow me to pull myself into a deeper range. So when I do that, right, now I'm in, right, a new range, even if it's only a millimeter, right, or an inch, okay? It doesn't really matter as long as you create that new range. Now I'm gonna down regulate and breathe. I'm gonna hold that passive stretch for another 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And I'm gonna start that process all over again. And on that second round, working up to, again, 90% or safest, greatest effort, as much tension as you can create while maintaining your position and not taking yourself to a place of pain.